Okay, the recording has started, and this is the December 3rd, 2019 Rook community meeting. And we are getting close to 1.2 release here. I don't think that there's any more 1.1 patches left. I think we got up to what 1.1.7. And so I don't think there are any expected patch releases since we're heading towards a code freeze now. Travis, is that correct in your book as well?
Well, so one comment around that, I guess, we have had something backported to 1.1 release branch since 1.1.7, uh, and I'd say we're entering a new phase now because I anticipate we'll want to backport things to 1.1 branch even after we've released 1.2 and have releases going in parallel now, um, since we'll basically have a downstream product that needs bug fixes based on 1.1 even while 1.2 moves on, right?
Oh yeah, I see. Sure, sure, yeah.
Um, so yeah, from that perspective, we're in a different place now where I anticipate we'll want or need to support the two different releases, and we'll still plan on upstream patches. Probably not as often, but well, because the downstream stuff doesn't depend on upstream releases anyway. But periodically, we want to just have a patch release to collect all the fixes that have been backported there anyway.
Is the bar or the criteria for backporting to 1.1 after 1.2 is already out, is that fairly well understood or defined, or is that something like an effort needs to go into kind of defining what the criteria is or what the needs are?
I mean, for what I'd propose is, bug fixes that are considered sort of high priority. We need these things. We can still backport those to the 1.1 branch, and we're not backporting new features. It's really just these bug fixes, and so that's it's a loose criteria in my mind, and we can define that more
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
it's not a big concern for me. It was more of a curiosity of is it clear going forward like what the needs are for 1.1?
Mm-hmm. And if we think about other major products like Kubernetes, there's multiple minor releases sending out patches in parallel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things are backported, so it's just becoming more to follow that model that we need to release things from different branches. One thing to consider around this is that after we release 1.2, uh, during our release process for 1.1, we no longer should promote builds to the release channel, right? So the main place that impacts is the Helm chart. So if you install a Helm chart just on the release channel, you expect the latest one to be installed. Well, after 1.2 is released, then it will be based on 1.2 and not 1.1. Right? So what that means is we just don't need to run the promote pipeline, right?
Right, you
And I
could
think
still
that
install a specific version, right? You can install like 1.1.8 if we do a .8, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Um, but we just don't want to promote it and give it the tag for latest or
yeah,
release or whatever.
yeah. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so I think that's it for 1.1. So we will continue to see 1.1 backports, not too frequently at this point, I hope, but on occasion. Or, yep, could even be several times a week still for a bit.
Oh, you said backports, not releases.
Backports, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Releases we'll just do on occasion.
got it. Understood.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so 1.2, do you want to talk about the overall, proposal or potential shift back a little bit here for from the originally proposed dates for feature freeze and
Yep.
release?
Yeah, exactly. So we originally proposed, on our quarterly cycle, well, let's have feature freeze today and then release next Tuesday. Well, just with KubeCon and the holiday last week in the US, I feel like we're still catching up and there's some things we need to finish up. And I feel like there's a bunch of work to do, but if we target end of this week for getting to a feature freeze, wrap up some final PRs. End of this week seems reasonable, although tight. And maybe it bleeds into Monday if we really need to, but I think we got to be clear about what features we need in the release, and finalize that, do a final pass at the board and see what's on the board.
It's something that's also interesting there for me, Travis, is that, you know, since the security audit is going on this week, there could be findings that come out of that as the week goes on that are, you know, critical vulnerabilities or things that we, you know, really want to include or to fix, period. And that could easily start a conversation around, depending on the severity of the vulnerabilities, to delay a 1.2 to include these security issues potentially.
Right. Yes. Depending on what we find.
Yeah.
For sure.
So let's keep an open mind for that potentially.
Yep. And then, yeah, hopefully we don't need any re-architecture because that. Anyway, I don't anticipate that, but we'll see. So we would have end of this week for feature freeze, and then end of next week for code freeze, meaning hopefully we can get all the bug fixes in, test upgrades and things. And then December 17th being a Tuesday, it gives us a couple days after the weekend to create a blog, get ready for the release, and target the 17th for actual release. So that's my proposal. Other thoughts around that or concerns? Do we need more time? You know, anybody? Or we'll go with that.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say is that I have a feeling that the 1.2 milestone is not fully up to date. Like, this is not the full set. Like, every issue in this list is probably not critically needed to be included in the 1.2.
Right. There's still a bunch in there that we're kind of optimistic, but so we need to make a pass on the board.
Okay.
And let's see, I don't see anybody from other storage providers here today, just to speak to if they have features. The main PRs I'm thinking of are in Ceph, so I'll ping the storage owners to get.
Yeah, do you want to add a note to the storage providers channel about these potential dates?
Exactly. Yep. I'll do that. Okay. So I think that, yeah, if we look at the project board real quick instead of the milestone view. Oh, you have it there. Okay. Yep. There's just a lot on this board still. Some feature PRs, like the client CRD has been in flight for a while. We just need to, I think it's about there.
I see, like, we had talked about this a little bit before, but I see more pull requests than I do issues on the board, and there's definitely a mix of it. Like, do you think it's fairly common that just across the entire community here now that people just want to include pull requests on the board?
From my perspective, a pull request or an issue can track something that needs to change. And if we have an issue, I'd prefer to put it on the board. If there's only a pull request and not an issue, then putting the pull request on the board seems valid to me. So that's what I've been doing, at least. But I think being strict about having an issue to track every PR is overkill.
Yeah, which is fair. Yeah, I don't think it's a strict requirement to have an issue for every single pull request, but like the first one I clicked on, there's a pull request that's on the board, and it's for a particular issue, and then that issue it's not in the milestone at all.
So it should be.
So like that kind of thing like makes it harder to do bookkeeping of like burn down or, you know, the quantity or scope of things that's left. You know, if you go to like the milestone and we looked at that, like that issue, you know, like wouldn't be in this milestone.
Right. So yeah, that one I overlooked, but so it would be preferred to have its issue in and not the PR. Yep.
Yeah. So have you been putting pull requests like not only on the board but in the milestone too? So a milestone is a mix of pull requests and issues also, not just the board.
I haven't been adding them to the milestone as much as just the board, trying to see what's left. So this, yeah, the milestone probably needs more of a scrub than the board.
Okay.
If others want to help scrub too, that I don't need to do it all.
Okay, cool. And then so you'll follow up. You'll drop a note in the storage providers channel for 1.2 dates.
I will do that. Yep.
All right. Cool. Okay, so I think we can move on to the community topics section here. So the first item here is that on Monday morning, so yesterday morning, we officially started the security audit or review with Trail of Bits, a security firm that I think is based out of New York City. And so we did a kickoff call, me and Travis and Alexander, with a few of their security researchers and experts. And so they are diving into the code base now. They are doing penetration testing and, also like threat models and all sorts of cool stuff there. So that we're working actively with them as the week goes on to support them. And the deliverable for them by Monday is to have a full report written about any of the vulnerabilities that they find and tracking issues and all that sort of stuff. So by Monday, we have another call scheduled, a wrap-up call with the security firm where we'll go over all the results and findings, and the report will be published. And we'll need to do a triage as well to figure out if there's any issues that are severe enough that we need to address them immediately. And we can do that in real time too. We don't have to wait until the end of the week. If issues get open that are critical severity, then we can go ahead and triage and assess or address them very quickly.
Yeah, they've already opened a few issues, but they're basically error messages not being handled, which I'm sure there's lots of those.
Nice.
Nothing major yet.
My level of anxiety is still slightly elevated, though. As soon as you have the security folks digging deep, see what they find.
So does that mean you might come fix some of these if something major is found?
If I know how to fix a security exploit, I'm not a security expert whatsoever.
But you're a Rook expert. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Security. I mean, I definitely see the value in addressing security issues. One really good thing though here is that, this is coming up as part of the process for graduating the Rook project at the CNCF. And so we went with Trail of Bits not only because of their expertise and their quality. They did the security review for upstream Kubernetes, but also because they could fit us into their schedule earlier than other firms could. So we're able to get a jump on it in early December, and we have a couple of months to fix issues and resolve any of the outstanding security stuff before we want to graduate in the next couple of months. So that we're in good shape there with that. We don't have a super aggressive timeline like we potentially were looking at for San Diego. So that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then also, so anyone who we haven't really kicked off this effort fully yet, but I am open for any testimonials from production users. So if you have any, know of any production users, that would like to chat about, share some details about their environments and their story, you just connect them with me. I'll be happy to collect all their information and do a little, interview and stuff like that to get more details. So just point them at Jared, and I'll be happy to follow up with them.
After our KubeCon presentation, did you get any hits from that?
I think there was one person who came and talked to me after that, but not like I when we were doing this for the incubation proposal, there was like reaching out on Slack, like sending emails to people, etc. Like when we started like a focused sort of effort to reach out is when we really started getting people coming in there. So yeah, but then some of this will be outreach, not inbound stuff. So the people that we know or are aware of that are definitely using it in production, like that helps a lot more to be able to focus and try to target them and get responses from them more so than blanket, sending out Slack messages to like the 2,000 people in Slack. So focused ones help a lot.
Yep. Okay.
Cool. All right. So MinIO.
Can we run a survey maybe?
Yeah, that's what we did for incubation, Sebastian, is that we created a survey that people could just easily respond to and like provide their information. Like one of the questions is, are you comfortable, can you share these details with publicly? And then those people I follow up with to get more of their story. So yeah, that's an easy way to get in there. We just haven't done it yet because we have multiple months to do this still.
Are you thinking after the new year maybe to kick that off? Since there's just focus on security review for now?
Yeah, probably. Like security is like the highest thing right now, and then like maybe first thing in the new year, and then we'll still have a couple of months to do that. So probably really start that effort in the new year. Yeah.
Well, do we have to think about when CNCF meets or would vote?
Yeah, let's talk with Chris A. In the next CNCF sync up.
Yep, sounds good.
And we'll get on their schedule. I think that. It's my understanding that graduation proposals have a bit of a priority over like, any new willy-nilly sandbox application.
All right, cool.
And that's not my biggest concern at all.
Yeah, I think our meeting this month is canceled for holidays, so might be a while. We might reach out to them before January.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the December one is canceled. You're right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll probably follow up then before that. Then. Yeah, I'm tracking all that stuff in my little notes and sheet.
Sounds good.
Okay, MinIO.
Yep, I added that to the agenda. So a few of us talked at KubeCon. So we discovered, first of all, MinIO has its own operator now that they put in, github.com/MinIO, and they've never come to the Rook project. We don't have integration tests, so without the community support, it just seems like we need to go ahead and remove it from Rook. There's nothing happened with it since it was added to Rook. I need to open an issue to make it a little more public than this meeting too. So I'll go ahead and do that unless there's any other concern about moving ahead with that. And I think in 1.2 we can get that done.
Yeah, I didn't have major concerns about that. I mean, obviously it's somewhat disappointing that we, started that effort, but didn't get traction with the upstream MinIO folks. How thorough is their operator? Have you taken a look at it?
Not very deep. I just looked. It's got 300 commits or something. Or wait, was it 30 something commits? So it's still pretty new, just in the last couple of months. Looks like it was created.
It might be worth reaching out to them, like just to, maybe see if there's an open conversation to be had here about joining or collaborating efforts still, because I haven't personally talked with them myself, so I don't know where exactly they stand.
Right. So, yeah, when people create their own projects, I guess I don't have much hope that they'll want to engage. But so you don't have any contacts there, or I guess who would be interested there?
It looks like I would have to imagine this is vendoring code.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of work in here yet, at least. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take an action item to just reach out to them and just to see.
Yeah. I mean, who can take that action item to reach it?
I can do that.
All right.
On a similar sort of question, I know CockroachDB has also had their own operator for quite some time.
They have an operator? We've been in multiple talks with them that they don't have an operator. Where's their operator live, Blaine?
It's on Operator Hub.
Yeah, Keith McClellan has said multiple times that they do not have an operator. That's
I think they said they put it on Operator Hub, and it's just based on some shell or placeholder, like it doesn't.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I do
something like
remember that. That it's that was like a last minute sort of thing just to do an operator, like have something on Operator Hub, but they are still interested in doing real integration with Rook.
Right. Yeah, they haven't
Gotcha. Okay.
engaged here, but they've engaged more with Crossplane, right?
Yeah, Travis and I have had maybe, I don't know, 4 different meetings or conversations with them. So that at least, like, they have not written code, but they are absolutely, in conversation and engaged, as opposed to Mineo, who we haven't really had a relationship with at all. So yeah.
So Cockroach has expressed interest. We have yet to see their involvement. But yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cool. Okay. So let's. I wanted to just a quick second here. KubeCon San Diego was 2 weeks ago, not last week, for Thanksgiving holiday in the United States here. But did anybody have any observations and thoughts or any experiences that they wanted to share from KubeCon San Diego?
I've got some, but I'm curious to hear from others first.
Yeah.
Alex?
It would be cool if we could maybe look into like, yes, it's Barcelona, maybe have like a Rook shirt or something again. If we maybe can look just for a motive, then we could look in who's going to print it or something.
Yeah, I think Mike Perez, so he can help us get some shirts printed. And I talked with him a few weeks ago, and we thought, well, instead of rushing for that KubeCon, let's focus on graduation and Amsterdam and create shirts for that. Yep, because
sure.
People love the shirts.
Yep.
Other thoughts from those who were there? I guess only a few of us were there. Sebastian, any general thoughts about KubeCon?
No, nothing comes to mind. I think it was a good event. We got a pretty good turnout at the session, the Rook Deep Dive session. And at the booth, I think it was well attended. Even though I wish we had a proper booth, not a community/project thing. But I guess we managed to pimp it a little bit. So in the end, it looked way better than initially. So I guess it was acceptable.
Yeah, that Project Pavilion experience was definitely a little bit different than past KubeCons.
Right. Thanks to Mike
with the banner as well.
Yeah.
We weren't able to put it up.
Printed that banner and decorated the booth a little bit. I think they didn't have decorations for all the booths or anything because they were changing who was in the booths depending on the time of day if someone didn't staff it all the time. So they were sort of temporary type booths.
Were we the only project that had a full-time staffed booth?
We might have been.
No, I think Cryo or Podman and as well as Prometheus, I think they all had a permanent booth.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of good conversations at the booth. I think that still continues to be a source of high bandwidth, informed conversations where you can get into, what are some user scenarios, like what are their concerns, like what are they trying to accomplish, like those continue to be high quality conversations at the booth, I think.
Right. So just maybe a comment about the session we had. So it was a little disappointing to have it at the end of the day on the last day. Everybody's getting tired.
And I actually I had reached out like as soon as the schedule was released to the KubeCon organizers to try to get it moved to earlier in the week, but it wasn't possible to be done. So I tried to do that for us.
I'm sure. Yeah, it just was too late. So that was what it was. But we still had half decent attendance, and I thought it worked pretty well to have, because of the different storage providers, have one big session where intro and then just go into the deep dives. So I think that format worked well. It was a little disappointing when people got up and left after certain storage providers, like, oh, Ceph is done, big mass exodus, right? Because people had to go catch their flights or something. But and yeah, I don't think we have a solution for that other than let's make sure the content is what people want to hear. And
Yeah, I think one thing that I would like to see more of is demos. It was just all talking and slides, basically. Like I would like to see more, practical live action things happening on stage there instead of just being, talking to the audience the majority of the time.
yeah, that was, I think, with the deep dives, even 20 minutes was hard to do something like that because there's so much to talk about. What do we demo? Yeah. At least on the Ceph side, we talked about.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to promote your backend with 20 minutes only, and then also do a demo. But yeah.
So it's interesting, Rook being in the the project it is very different from others where they're just focused on their project. It's like multiple storage providers means, well, we kind of need our own session. So I wonder if we could even ask CNCF to, can we have multiple sessions? Like, okay, let's have a Rook intro session and then a deep dive for each storage provider that's interested. That would be ideal, I think. Somehow I don't think
That's an interesting idea. I wonder how much like space and ability that they have to accommodate that a higher number of them. That'd be interesting.
Right, and maybe
in Shanghai last year that you couldn't, at least space was limited such that a number of sessions too that you couldn't even do both an intro and a deep dive. You had to pick only just one of them. So at least some KubeCons have limitations in place.
Right. Or if they even allowed that for just our stable storage providers, I mean, that would only be 2 deep dives. Something to talk about with Chris too.
Cool. And once again, I apologize for the weather in our lovely city here of San Diego. I know everyone got a little wet on the night of the all attendee party.
I think KubeCon is cursed for the all attendee party, like it was in Austin for the snow.
Yeah, I saw somebody on Twitter make a comments about that, and it was hilarious. I think there's a curse now on KubeCons.
Yep.
Well, Barcelona
was there rain or snow last year?
What's that, Alex?
Was there snow or rain last year as well?
In Seattle, I mean, there had to have been rain, I'm sure, in Seattle.
Yeah, because at least also for me, like 2017 and 2019, and every time like snow or rain. So that's why I'm asking if it was 2018.
I'm pretty sure. I mean,
otherwise,
I remember getting wet in Seattle, like first part of the time for sure. I remember specifically like being like, I wish I had an umbrella or something, but you're not allowed to have umbrellas in Seattle. Too cool for that.
Not allowed to.
What? No, everyone makes fun of you if you have an umbrella in Seattle. You have to just have a rain jacket. That's it. I want to be cool. Huh. Yeah, they're weird folks up there.
I carried around an umbrella personally. I guess I did.
Well, you moved to Idaho though. So, all right. Anyways, cool. Yeah, KubeCon was super fun. It was good to see everybody there as well and spend some time with you guys. So that was rad. Okay, so let's move on to the PR section here. Blaine, I think did you add this one into the agenda?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to add that in case anyone outside of the normal like Ceph world wanted to comment on. So this has evolved a little bit, but we want to deprecate creating new file store OSDs because file store is in sustaining in Ceph, but still be able to run like old legacy existing file store OSDs. And then also deprecate directory-based OSDs because those are like those were never really supported for production in Ceph. It's just sort of something that has existed for testing and is like really not stable for user data. So we want to remove that as a feature from the Ceph operator. And there's like a plan for deprecation and like giving users time to migrate.
Right, and for some time we would still support existing OSDs on those, just not creating new ones. And,
Right.
and did we say and we do this post 1.2? So 1.2 would still have official, or you'd still be able to create them in 1.2, or was there something we wanted to do? Maybe I forgot.
I think the goal is to not be able to create new file store OSDs in 1.2, given the like prototyping work that I have done so far. It might be a little more challenging, or we might I don't know, we might be able to do a stopgap that is less than sort of stripping out as much of the code as much as just throwing some sort of failure if users try to create new file store OSDs. But yeah, ripping out like those code paths is they're kind of tangled in there. But yeah, I mean the plan is to pull that out of 1.2, and I think yeah, I don't know if we really have many users using file store anyway, or if any realistically. So I don't think that's going to be a big.
Hopefully,
Was there a positive resolution with the folks that replicated, like Dexter here? One of their guys, Andrew, I saw him at KubeCon at San Diego. He said that they're still using file store like in for their product.
I don't. Oh, is this Dex Horthy?
Yeah, he's at Replicated.
The person on GitHub.
Yep.
This looks like he pinged 2 people in July, and they didn't do anything. I'll go back and reread his comments with that in mind. But yeah, we really haven't heard anything. Although I did clarify a question for him.
Right. And at this point, I think the biggest blocker is the CI. So we need to get the CI working on devices, right, instead of directories.
Right. Yeah. So we have to get the CI actually working testing devices on all Kubernetes versions before we can fully deprecate it. So this isn't something we can deprecate in 1.2 or even like begin the process of starting that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, cool. Thanks for driving that plane. So that was the last PR we
You're
got
welcome.
in the list here. Were there any other agenda items or topics that were not included in the agenda here?
Oh, one that just came to mind is that at KubeCon, we talked about updating the governance with the new steering committee. So we'll, I guess, without going into the details here, yep, we're working on it. And like, Jared, you took the action item to send out a PR for that?
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have a timeline?
That's part of graduation as well.
Yep, exactly. Do you have a timeline in mind?
Yeah, after the security audit this week, that'll be like the main focus for all of Rook time this week will be security.
Yep, makes sense. Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, that's all the items here. So I think that we can go ahead and adjourn for the week.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Have a good day. Bye.